So coming up on the first episode of the ProNerd Podcast, I explain what the hell is this show. We're diving deep into what makes a good TV show overall, and I'm ranking the top 5 games of all time. All this and more on the very first episode of the ProNerd Report. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first episode, the inaugural episode of the ProNerd Report. So what is this podcast and why should you give a shit about it? So the ProNerd Report is a weekly podcast where me and sometimes other dope nerds will dive deep into cool nerdy topics about anime, movies, TV shows, and video games. So I started this show, the ProNerd Report, because I wanted to create a community of awesome nerds who love listening and discussing things in pop nerd culture that I've been a fan of my whole entire life. So I know what you're thinking next. So who's this show really for? If you enjoy listening to topics about video games, this is a show for you. If you often wonder who's the top 5 villains in nerd movies of all time, then you're in the right place. If you like hearing about the best anime of the year and some really dope shows that you should check out, this is the podcast for you. Here on the ProNerd Report, the goal is to spotlight the great things that are going on in the gaming world and also talk about shitty, nerdy things like microtransactions as well. This show is going to rank and review all the MCU movies and all the MCU TV shows. This show is going to talk about the hottest nerd shows going on right now, like The Boys, Invincible, the Star Wars Disney Plus shows, Peacemaker. These are the shows we're going to be talking about on this podcast. So if any of that is your jam, then this is the show for you. And I know what you're thinking next. That sounds good and all, but who the hell are you exactly? Allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm Sebastion and I go by SDM3 on all social media platforms, and I'm the host of the show. I'm just your friendly neighborhood nerd. I didn't come from a big platform like IGN, GameSpot, or Kotaku. I'm just your average everyday 90s kid who's been a gamer his whole entire life. No, seriously, my first console was the PS1. I played this game called Toomba where you play as this pink-haired kid who for some reason beat the shit out of some pigs. I don't even know what the hell the pigs did to that boy, but I didn't give a damn. All I knew that I was hooked. I was like a crack fiend from that point on. I absolutely fell in love with video games, and it's been that way ever since. I've been a nerd my entire life. My mom taught me how to read using comic books, and I've been an anime fan since the first time I saw young Goku do a Kamehameha wave. That's a little bit about me, and I promise you will get to know me more as time goes by. Now, without further ado, let's start the first episode of the ProNerd Report.
It's time for another episode of the ProNerd Report.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the ProNerd Report, the hottest new podcast that gives you that sweet and spicy nerdy goodness. You can find this on youtube.com on the New Factions game site, as well as all podcast services. If you like the show, please comment and leave a dope review. That would really mean a lot. Also, if you like what you hear and you want to support the show, as well as get the future episodes a day early and get the show ad-free, you can do so by becoming a Patreon producer at patreon.com/thepronerdreport. We have some dope tiers available, so definitely go check that out. So, right off the bat, I'm introducing a new segment on the ProNerd Report called the Nerdtacular Award of the Week. This will be a weekly award show where we highlight the dopest nerd content that you need to check out or something that stood out this week. So the winner of the very first Nerdtacular Award is the game Yakuza Like a Dragon. So this game is absolutely batshit crazy in all the best ways. I'm serious, this game is phenomenal. The turn-based gameplay takes what I loved about the Pokemon games growing up and adds that fun adult spin to it. Let me give you the quick rundown. Yakuza Like a Dragon stars Ichiban, who's like a Yakuza gang member who takes a prison sentence for a crime he never committed. He gets out years later and finds out that the Yakuza family that he loved was destroyed by the very man he respected the most. This sets you up for one of the best and deepest RPG adventures I've played in recent years. This was my first Yakuza game, and a sequel to this game right now is on the top of my gaming wish list. I know what some of you out there are saying, like, man, fall back, this is a turn-based game. You're tripping. This is absolutely phenomenal. You should definitely check this game out. Even if you don't like turn-based games, I'd still recommend that you try this gem out. It's that damn good. I seriously think people are sleeping on this game. Go try it out. It's on Xbox Game Pass, and it's constantly on sale. Yakuza Like a Dragon is absolutely phenomenal, and it's more than worthy of being the first recipient of the Nerdtacular Award of the Week. Now, without further ado, let's get started with topic number 1.
Topic number 1.
So often in life, we get too caught up on all the extras, the flash, the glitz, the glamour, the things we can show off. Often we want to skip building a foundation and go straight to the decor. We want to go straight to the flashy goodness. It's true what they say though. When your foundation is off, the whole house crumbles. TV shows are no different. The writing and the concept has to be good or the rest of the show doesn't matter. The writing and the storyline itself is the foundation. This was illustrated clear as day in the Halo show. Halo had such a divided reception, and it's one of the most divided shows in recent memory, and that's a damn shame since this is such a huge IP. There were so many complaints about the show, and most of them stem from the storyline, one way or another. No one complained about how the show looked. The show looked good visually. It may be not the greatest CGI in the world, but nowhere near the worst. No one complained about that, though. They mostly complained about the storyline and the writing and the fact that, they made Master Chief do uncharacteristic things. That illustrates the point I'm trying to make here. The writing is the foundation. Without solid direction, the best looking shows in the world still crumble. On the flip side of that, you have Amazon's hit show, The Boys. It's one of the best ongoing shows right now, and it doesn't blow people away visually. I mean, it looks good, but it doesn't look like it's super impressive or anything. The narrative is just so damn good that nobody cares that it doesn't look like a Disney Plus show. This is a phenomenal show, and it's all due to the writing. Everything hits. Everything ties into one another. They have reoccurring plot lines and reoccurring themes. Like, the show is so good, and the way that they tell a story is so good that nothing else really matters. Like, everything else is just icing on the cake at that point. So, studios, look at The Boys as a good example. Good writing matters most. We nerds are excited and we want these new IPs that you're creating. We love that you're adapting more sci-fi books, comic books, and video games into like TV shows and movies. We're hyped as hell about that. Most of us get excited and hyped to be a part of a new big thing going on in nerd pop culture. We look forward to that shit, like seriously. We will support you 1000% if your show or your movie plot is on point. If you need another example, look at the older show Firefly. That show didn't blow most people away visually, but the storyline was so good that everyone still misses it, like years later. So studios, when you do these big adaptations, do this shit right. Build the foundation first, aka write a good storyline and really plan that shit out. Then work on giving us a visual showcase. When people think about the best shows of all time, they think of shows like The Sopranos, The Wire, Breaking Bad, the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. They don't think about how good the show looked. Sure, that's icing on the cake, but that's not what they mainly think about. They think about the amazing ride the story took them on. Studios, focus on your foundation, and please, for the love of everything we hold dear, do not mess up the Last of Us TV show. Don't you dare do us dirty with that one. Before we continue, let's take a break to hear from our sponsors. So this is the very first episode and my ass is definitely not famous, so we don't have any sponsors. That said, this show is brought to you by patreon.com/the ProNerd Report. Do you want to support the show? Do you want to aid me in my quest to create my own professional wrestling promotion called the Nerd World Order? If so, and you got some dollars to spare, become a Patreon producer. By becoming a producer, you can get future episodes a day early as well as get the show ad-free. Now, back to the show.
Topic number 2.
So I want to switch gears for our next topic and dive into games. I wanted to do a topic that would allow you to get to know me a bit better, as well as I wanted to go big for the inaugural episode. So I decided I would just go as big as I can get and give you the definitive list of the top 5 video games of all time. So before I begin, here's the rules. I can only list games that I have personally played. For example, I never played Chrono Trigger. It could be a 10 out of 10. It could be one of the best games ever made. But alas, I have not played it, so I cannot personally vouch for it. So that shit is out of here. Please remember, this is a top 5 video games list of all time, not my personal top 5 games of all time. That list would be drastically different, and trust me, it would look very different than the list I'm about to give you. Keep in mind that video games have been around forever, and there are going to be some that really got snubbed. Before we begin, and before we even start, one of these snubs is going to be Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm just already going to tell you, I think that fell right at number 7 for me. And I already know, like, the comments are going to be ablaze after that bomb. Like, people are probably just going to be like, damn, man, just hit him in the kneecap. Like, that is absolutely asinine. But that's what I'm saying. Like, this is all the games of ever since games were invented. So some games are going to get snubbed. All that said, let's begin. So at number five, I'm going with Mass Effect 2. For those of you rolling your eyes right now, I don't think you understand just how good this damn game is. The characters in this game were so incredible. They were well written. The story packs a punch well above its weight with emotional storytelling. This game is absolutely phenomenal. The way that you build a relationship with your companions and how that relationship evolves over time is so well done and so underrated. Mass Effect 2 has excellent gameplay as well. It has a superb story, and it's one of the best games as far as building and exploring lore of all time. This game is absolutely sci-fi perfection. Just go ahead and give it the crown. So at number 5, I have Mass Effect 2. At number 4, coming in at that 4th spot, we have GTA 5. This game is an open world masterpiece and one of the most successful games of all time. I'm not shitting you. This game came out and broke records in its first 24 hours. There isn't a game that has an open world that feels as lived in and authentic as Los Santos in GTA 5. This game is packed full of insane, over-the-top action set pieces as well as characters that are memorable. What really stood out to me about this game is the level of detail in the world itself. You can see the cracks in the sidewalk and look at each street and see that no street is identical. That is extra level like detail that we really don't see in an open world game. That is detail we really don't see in like very many games, period. And it's that extra love and care that puts this game above and beyond so many others. This game came out and the world absolutely stopped and everyone had to play this game. No other game in history has had that power. None. So, despite what you might be thinking, despite you rolling your eyes, or despite you like calling me names in the comments below, like GTA 5 is an absolute banger and definitely a Hall of Fame game. So, the number 4 spot goes to GTA 5. Number 3. The number 3 spot goes to God of War 2018. This game is an absolute masterpiece. Everything about this game is so well done. Everything from the bombastic action set pieces, which are absolutely amazing and next level and feel like perfect action gameplay, to the smaller moments in the boat where you're listening to the stories and you're listening to that Nordic lore. Everything about this game was done with so much love and care, and it shows. The Norse mythology mixed in with the gameplay, mixed in with experiencing the relationship with Kratos and his son Atreus is a perfect blend. Not to mention, as someone who really enjoys characters and really enjoys seeing character development, this game absolutely kills it in that department. Everything about like the way the characters evolve and react to different situations and seeing them grow in real time is absolutely amazing. Kratos, like a character that was so one-dimensional back in the day, is really fleshed out. We really get to see him trying to teach his son about life and the world that they're dealing with, as well as dealing with Kratos' own past and personal demons. This is perfect storytelling. Honestly, if you haven't played this game, just play it and throw the Leviathan axe. That alone is going to just hook you right into this game. That game mechanic is so well done. This is an absolute must-play for anyone who has a PlayStation. If you have a PlayStation, it should almost be a law that you at least have to try this game out. It is that damn good. So, at my number 3 spot, I'm putting God of War 2018 on there. The number 2 game on this list is The Last of Us. This game is a masterclass in storytelling. I think what The Last of Us has done better than any other game is the way it accurately portrays human emotions. In Last of Us, characters grieve, they show hope, they show despair, fear, and wonder better than any game I've ever played in my life. Ellie and Joel feel like real people. They feel like people that I have a deep connection to. This game did an excellent job at making me really feel like I know these characters, like I know them personally. The game world, despite it being an end-of-the-world apocalypse, feels real. Everything you experience in this game has weight to it. It has meaning behind it. You feel like it's your own personal experiences at times. The gameplay itself is also top-notch and accents the narrative perfectly. They're a match made in heaven. Good narrative and really good gameplay. The Last of Us is something absolutely special, and it's a game I often wish I can experience for the first time all over again. This is the best narrative-focused game of all time. So, at number one, the number one spot, the top game on this list, I went back and forth on this so many times, but I'm going to have to give the rub to Super Mario World. I'm not even a Mario fan, but I recognize greatness. Mario is so good that nothing about it makes sense, and nobody cares about that. Nobody gives a damn that nothing makes sense, that this guy is getting eaten by piranha plants, or like there's these weird dinosaurs in the world, or what is that guy doing wearing like the football gear? No one cares about any of that because everyone loves the game so much. There's a lot that makes Super Mario World special. It features perfect platforming controls, unforgettable level designs, and it oozes fun. The addition of Yoshi and all the gameplay mechanics that he throws into the mix took a great thing and made it even better. Each environment provides a new gameplay mechanic instead of just being new visual aesthetics. This game features swimming levels, platform levels, castles, obstacle levels. Everything about this game is iconic. Think I'm lying? Go play a song from this game just out in the main world and everyone will recognize it. That's next level recognition. That's respect from everyone, regardless if you're a gamer or not. Super Mario World is that damn good. Everyone recognizes that, and it still brings joy to millions of gamers to this day. So that's why I'm giving it the number one spot, the top video game of all time. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think of my top 5 list? What would you take off? What would you put on? What is your list? Leave a review and tell me what you think about that as well. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for the first episode of the ProNerd Report. Thank you so much for listening. This podcast has been something I really wanted to do for a long time. And like I said earlier, I want this to be the Pro Nerd Nation community. I want to create a community of awesome nerds that love talking and listening about things that I've been a fan of my whole entire life. All things dealing with pop nerd culture. That's what this show is all about. If you want to be a part of this journey and be a part of the future episodes of the show, you can send in topic requests to my DM, that's SDM3 on social media platforms, as well as send an email to newfactiongamesg@gmail.com. Thank you again so much for listening, and I hope to see you in future episodes. And like I said earlier, that's it for today's show. If you're watching via YouTube on the New Factions Games channel, thank you so much for watching. And if you're listening on the podcast services around the globe, thank you so much for listening. The Pro Nerd Report releases every single week, and it's going to bring you the dopest topics in the nerd community. This is your host, Sebastion, SDM3, signing out. We thank you for joining us, and we hope to catch you in the next one. I'll let your boy later. Peace out, everyone.